With us for more on Biden's foreign policy is Democratic Party strategist Joel Rubin. He is a former U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary of State during the Obama administration. Joel, I want to get to Biden and his foreign policy efforts, but let me begin with this. Joel McManus wrote this in November of 2018 in The Atlantic. It had a headline that read, "Almost half the top jobs in Trump's State Department are still empty in 18 countries. The White House has yet to designate a U.S. ambassador. That includes Australia, a close ally to America that is beginning to look to China instead." Now, we know a lot of career Foreign Service workers headed for the exits after Trump was elected. So what is it that Biden and Secretary Blinken inherited?
Yeah, Mike, thanks for asking this question. They inherited a disaster. The State Department was hollowed out. I served at the State Department in the Bush administration as a career officer, as well as in the Obama administration as an appointee. And never before have I seen such low morale as I have when I would visit over at the State Department with friends and former colleagues. So they inherited the mess. We even saw Mike Pompeo recently getting castigated by the Inspector General of the State Department for ethics violations. So it really was at the bottom. And I think what we're seeing now is Tony Blinken, the secretary, really leaning into the idea of rebuilding morale, making sure that the diplomats understand that they have an ally in the secretary's office and that they have a mission that is valued by the president.
Joel, we know these speeches generally always are pretty heavy domestic, but there's always an element of international relations. So what can we expect in this speech before both houses of Congress?
Yeah, President Biden, he really has done something of a U-turn in terms of what he's leading with. He historically has been a foreign policy senator, a politician, but he's really led with domestic policy. And I think in his first 100 days, I think we're going to see a lot of that. But he is going to connect the dots. And the theme of his presidency is a foreign policy for the middle class. So trying to tie for Americans the idea together that a good foreign policy, a good engagement with the world helps us back here at home, helps our economy, helps our healthcare, helps our stability as a country. And he's going to connect those links, talk about Afghanistan, talk about climate change, and sort of make sure that he brings Americans into this concept, but still heavily leaning on domestic policy.
Well, you worked in the Obama administration, and I remember President Obama was keen on with China, we're going to compete where we must, but we're going to cooperate where we can. Is that the Biden doctrine as well?
I think it is. I think we just saw it this past week where President Xi attended the climate summit virtually, of course, but that was a real achievement by President Biden to get all of the world leaders that needed to be there, including Vladimir Putin, around the table to talk about a real urgent global threat. So he's going to do that. He still has kept the sanctions on China that President Trump installed. I'm sure there's going to be more moves to try to figure out what sanctions work, what don't, get this trade situation organized in a way that's less confrontational, but still standing up for American values.
Talk to me about how difficult it's going to be to patch up some of these strained relations.
It's job number one. It's the hardest job that a diplomat and that a president has, which is to show, A, that they're different, but B, that you, our counterpart overseas, can trust us when we say that what we're saying and what we're doing is going to stick and have permanence. And I think there's a lack that is of confidence around the world in America's word because we've had such a disjointed foreign policy shifting back and forth. And I think President Biden is going to try to say, I have the American people behind me. I have strong bipartisan support outside of Congress. Congress may not like what I'm saying and doing, but the American people do. And he's going to try to restore confidence that way while sending out diplomats and leaders who do reflect America's diversity, which is extremely different from President Trump's cabinet and his team.
Joel Rubin, always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for your analysis.
Thanks, Mike.